Alright, so, hey guys, this is, Frost, well, not Frost Guy, but God of Frost. So, yeah, I'm doing part 7, I believe? Yeah, part 7, I think. I've come a long way, and this has been thanks to tremendous help. My friend, his name is Zor What If, he's actually just uploaded his first video, so I'd love if you guys go watch it. Like, he's amazing. That's XOR What If, and I'll spell it out in the description, and you guys should just watch it. He also created this intro that I'm finna play, but without further ado, let's get into it. Oh, we gonna play now, ready for the show. I'm about to take that. Alright, so I'm pretty sure we left off on the future, I'm doing air quotations here, League of Villains being reformed and turned into a vigilante group, due to Stain's going out. So we won't see them for like an episode. Well, after this episode we will. So during the 2 weeks, Deku trains, to hone his new abilities, his cancel, his super regeneration, and his shock absorption. He trains that, he trains to see the output of everything, and, yeah. So the 2 weeks pass, and the person that they choose to be the representative for their class, it will be the person you guys are thinking of. It's Deku. But this goes different from what Bakugo, what Todoroki might have said, and what Deku might have said if he wasn't influenced by Knull a little bit. So he starts his speech off by saying, I just want everybody in the stands to know that we will be bringing our best. And no matter what our weaknesses are, we will improve it in the future. We will all be the number one. But we do face challenges, and we've overcame those challenges. We are the future. We're the future heroes that you ladies and gentlemen and men rely on, that you need, that you look up to. So without further ado, let's get into this UA Sports Festival. The crowd goes berserk. Todoroki's astonished. All Might's astonished. It's just amazing. Everybody's just thinking, oh my God, wow. Alright, so, yeah, okay. Whew. Oh man, that intro was just good. I'm sorry, and I'm sick. I'm getting a little sick. But, so, it starts off with a race, and, Deku, everybody's in the front, and Deku knows that whoever's in the front will get a head start, but unless, something goes down. And, Mega Mike says, go! And Todoroki instantly freezes the gate as he launches, off. Bakugo blows a hole through everybody's trying to run through the hole that Bakugo exploded. So I'd say right now Todoroki has a 10 to 20 second head start. Bakugo is in the lead by 3, and Deku is like almost dead last. So he smirks and grins, as everybody's still trying to walk out. Deku just runs out. Deku just walks up to the, ice wall and literally coats his arm in the symbiote and smashes it. Because since Deku copied One For All, he does have the side effects of One For All, like, enhancement of ability, enhancement of strength, all that. He has that. But there's no drawbacks, because Deku's not only naturally strong, he's also has his symbiote form, which he's able to use, 100% when he's in his symbiote form. So Deku starts to coat his legs in symbiote, in his hope state. He starts to suit up, basically. The crowd's just like, did that kid just transform? That's amazing. He must have a transformation quirk. Like 5% of the heroes have their eyes on Deku. They're saying, what's he gonna do? He's literally almost dead last right now. So, with one footstep, when Deku tries to start running, one footstep in Hope state, his Hope symbiote form, he cracks the ground. Like, imagine Goku going, Imagine Goku smashing a spirit bomb on himself in Super Saiyan form while fighting Frieza in the Namek arc. That. He does that to the ground. Everybody's like, whoa, did this kid just cause a crater? So he's already like in the top 5. And then next comes, if I'm not mistaken, in order of events, it was the field. I mean, the gaping abyss, the cavern in the ground. Deku sees Todoroki's ice trail, grabs it, uses it as a surface to cling onto, and he shoots a web at it. And he starts to swing around and around and around it till he launches himself up in the air. And then while he's high in the air, he sees Todoroki. He aims his hand like Spider-Man does. And then he shoots a web at Todoroki's back. He knows Todoroki might be in first place, but he knows he's strategical. He's smarter than Todoroki. So, as Todoroki starts zipping by, he's in first place. Deku pulls himself to Todoroki. Todoroki feels something pull his back. Bakugo starts to laugh. But then all of a sudden, Bakugo gets kicked. He eats. Not eats. His mouth is filled with dirt as Deku lands, right at the edge of where the robots are. So Deku smiles. Todoroki's laughing hysterically. Bakugo just ate a fistful of dirt. Bakugo's pissed. He's raging. He's shooting off blast by the minute. Deku begins to tear through robots. The crowd's like, hey, isn't that kid somewhat of a villain for that? That was a cheap shot. The heroes are just laughing, saying, no, that kid used his surroundings to his advantage, With this, I'm going to say Deku can't use full cowling, and because he hasn't learned it yet, and he can't use the flight technique or the buff up technique from All Might. He can't use that. So all he has is his enhanced strength. So with that, as Deku shredding through robots, he literally passes and without hesitation. And then comes the minefield. Now Deku senses the mines in the ground, and he doesn't really care. He jumps in the air and then shoots webs at the finish line, and then pulls himself to the finish line, coming in first place. We're gonna say that since Bakugo was mad and had a reason to, he came in second, and Todoroki came in third. So everything is basically the same way as it was last time. Deku gets the million points. But in this, Deku asks, can he, be by himself? You know, they say, well, we don't understand what you mean. Why would you want to be by yourself? This is a team effort. Deku says, I really don't need anyone else. I don't mean to have offense, but me and myself, we're a team, as is. Noah pops out of Deku's shoulder and says, the kid's right. We are technically unstoppable. So this is when they provide Deku with a challenge. Deku will keep in order for Deku to work by himself, he will keep the $1 million headband in his back pocket, not tied to his arm, to his forehead, but in his back pocket. It's easier to grab, it's easier to everything, So Deku agrees, and then the announcer says, Izuku Midoriya will be working by himself in this, And everybody's just saying, look at this kid, he's easy pickings. Because they haven't seen him, not in his hope state. They haven't seen him his regular state. They've seen his hope state, but his hope symbiosis state hides his face, so they don't know who he is. Well, his class does, but the people from 1B doesn't, I believe, yeah. So, what happens next is, everybody just charges for Deku except for the people in 1A. They're just getting tickets because they know there's no way in hell that they're stopping Deku. Or even getting close to that, So with this, Deku just jumps high. And then, with all of his might, he smashes the arena. Well, not the arena. He smashes the battlefield to where it creates a rock-like jab, knocking several teams over and unconscious. He then proceeds to yank the headbands from their head. So, he gets the idea. Then he gets the idea. No one said that he couldn't suit up. And if he suits up, they wouldn't be able to grab it. The headband, So, because all they said was that he had to keep it in his back pocket. So he begins to suit up, and the, announcer says, what are you doing? We told you to keep it in your back pocket. Deku says, oh, I am. I'm just making it to the point where nobody can get to it. The announcer says, but that's against the... And then they think, oh, damn, this kid is smart. Stain... Yeah. Okay, I'll do this. Stain is in the crowd. Stain and Toga are in the crowd. They're watching Deku, but Deku doesn't know. Stain smiles and says, this kid's pretty smart. He's probably better than All Might. Who knows? He might just be the number one hero. Or maybe better. He might be an S-class hero. Toga asks, what's an S-class hero? If I said he thought that, I'm sorry, I meant he said. Toga asks, what's an S-class hero? Then Stain looks at her and says, have you ever wondered if there was a hero stronger than All Might? There is. Those are S-class heroes. Those are universal power heroes. They're stronger than regular pro heroes, okay? Not even All Might's villains could take them. This kid just might be an S-class hero. Because I'm adding a new branch to it because, yeah. But then he says there hasn't been an S-class hero in 50 years after Sung Jin Woo. Sung Jin's Woo quirk was, Eclipse. What Eclipse's capabilities are is that during every, he can cause an eclipse when he uses his abilities. His abilities are Hell Flames, Um, in our manipulation, because we're just gonna go with John here. All right, so with that, let's continue. So it goes off saying, you know, that no, actually, somebody else got to be the MVP. I don't want Deku to, just be OP. I do like an OP Deku, but here we go. So I forgot the tape guy's name. I'm just gonna call him Spider Tape. So the Spider Tape guy, sees an opening for Deku, because he sees a tag out of the suit, the Hope suit, and he realizes that's the $1,000,000 ticket. So he shoots Tape over there to it, sticks to it. Deku's thinking, these people will never be able to defeat me, and then with all his strength, he pulls the $1,000,000 headband from Deku's inside of Deku's suit and out of his back pocket. That's when the bell rings and they say it's over. Tape Guy's team came in first. I forgot who it was. Deku's team came second Deku came second because he was just doing the same thing over and over, spamming moves like they do in Mortal Kombat. And Bakugo's team came. No, wait. Todoroki's team came third. Bakugo's team came fourth, yeah. Alright, let's see. No, Deku came fourth. No, Deku came third. Yeah, third. Alright, so let's see. Okay. Last event is the the what was it? The battle, yeah, the mock battle, and most of the fights go the same besides Deku's. If I'm not mistaken, Deku's first fight was him against Shinzo, I believe, the guy with the mind control quirk. Is that his name? I think so. So Deku has a resistance to this mind control due to the fact that his mind is occupied somewhere else. It's focusing on keeping Knull intact, So he does answer, and he does get controlled for a little bit, for 5 seconds, but then Knull just pulls him back, pulls the reality back. Deku says, "Oh, so that's how you do it, huh? You talk to someone and then you control them." Shinzo's shocked. He's thinking, "How do you know this? How does this kid already analyze and my quirk, and how did he escape my? No one should be able to do that." Deku smiles and then punches the ground, knocking Shinzo out of the ring. The other fights go the same, except it's not Deku versus Todoroki. It's Deku versus Kaminari. Kaminari. Okay. Deku thinks to himself that Kaminari has an electricity type quirk. I don't have electricity resistance. So then he remembers what Knull told him, that he has the ability to copy a quirk and apply that, variation to a part of his own ability. So then Deku gets the idea of, sending Knull to copy the ability from Kaminari. So he does this on the on the battlefield. Kaminari is too focused on Deku because Deku hasn't suited up yet. So Kaminari thinks that Deku's taking him lightly. So he's too focused on Deku to notice the sludge moving to Kaminari. It copies his ability and then goes back to Deku. This is, if you believe me or not, Venom Shock. Yeah. Alright. So Deku ends up shooting a web at Kaminari, and then he feels a tingle. It turned out the webs turned, electric when he grabbed them. Kaminari starts to short circuit while he's trying to fight that electricity with his own electricity, because Deku doesn't go stupid from his. Alright. And then the announcer says, Kaminari is unable to battle. Deku wins. Because it's Mighty Mike, I believe? Mighty Mike. Yeah, it's Mighty Mike. Alright. So then, for the last one, it goes the same. Well, it was Todoroki, I believe. No, it's Bakugo. Yeah, okay, I got something for that. So, Bakugo's pissed off at Deku for what he did earlier. He's pissed at him because, he doesn't take anything seriously. He's always thinking he's powerful, he thinks. These are all his own thoughts. He thinks he's better than me. He thinks he's better than everyone. I'm going to knock this little geek down a couple of notches. Deku's just thinking, oh man, here we go. Not this fool again, He irritates me. That's when Noah says, listen, kid, I know you've had it like semi-easy up till now, but listen, there's something I need to tell you. There's two things that I'm weak against, there's two things that symbiotes are weak against, and that's, that's fire, and, sound, high-pitched sound frequencies, and Deku gets mad and says, well, why didn't you tell me this before? Noah says, well, I didn't think you needed to know, like, you're always geeking out in that little notebook, and I've tried to tell you several times, but, like, you were busy, so, there, now you know. So, Noah says, well, anyway, you won't be able to use me in this one, but you'll still be able to use, the powers and stuff. So, alright, okay, Deku begins to take a fighting stance, and Bakugo's getting even more mad because Deku won't suit up in this, But Deku has a trick, because his shock absorption should take most of the shock from Bakugo's explosions. He thinks. He hasn't really tested this theory out yet, because he hasn't really used his shock absorption ability because there's been no firepower. But then he remembers, that in order for an explosion to happen, there has to be shock. There has to be some sort of shock. So Deku begins to wrap his hands up in, symbiote sludge. Just a thin layer, and then turn it into gloves to where it's electric, because, Venom Shock also applies to the hands. So he's going to use this as his main weapon of combat. Mighty Mike says, for the last battle we have Izuku, Midoriya, and Bakugo. I don't know Bakugo's full name. Huh. Then he says, fight. Bakugo immediately does a full Hauser blitz to Deku and just lets rip. You know, he's exploding one by one by one. But, and when the smoke vanishes, Deku's not there. The crowd thinks that he's been incinerated by this kid. They think that this kid is so evil, so villainous. But then one person shouts from the audience, "Oh my God, look under him." You know, then Bakugo looks down, and there is Deku. He kicks Bakugo straight into the air. And Bakugo saying, "How'd you... Oh, this is how you spell it. You know, he's like a partner to me." Alright, so, you know, when Bakugo lands, he spits out blood in the tooth. Because, you know, Deku kicked him hard. But he's still not going to give up. So, you know, this is when Bakugo becomes faster. He becomes faster as he applies his explosions to his feet. So now he has both his feet and his hands used for explosions. Because there's nothing stating that Bakugo can't use explosions all throughout his body. It's his sweat that ignites, right? He sweats nitroglycerin. So, what happens is, you know, with his feet, he can now keep an eye on, with his feet being the source of his moving explosions, he can now keep an eye on Deku and counteract him, you know. So Bakugo starts to just assault Deku with flames, with these barrages of explosions, these enormous explosions. People are actually getting scared for the kid that's in there right now. They know what he's capable of, but he's not putting on his suit. When all the explosions die down, Deku's shirt is ripped off. Deku doesn't exchange that much internal damage, but his outside is wrecked. Okay? He's burnt. He's suffered from burns, not too severe, but to the point where you think that it's the actual symbiote that's already covering him. You know, Deku's panting. He's exhausted, and Bakugo is just smiling, you know, breathing heavily. He's exerted so much sweat. He can't do it. That's when Deku hears a familiar voice. He hears Toga from the audience saying, "I believe in you. You can do this. You got this." You know, Uraraka looks at the audience to see a blonde-haired girl with sharp teeth. You know, she thinks to herself, how does she know Deku? And that's when a light goes off in Deku's eyes. You know, well, it turns on in Deku's eyes. It's a bluish greenish light. So Deku becomes fast, so fast that to the blinding eye he cannot be seen. He's jumping from one place to another place. You know, he's just going crazy. Then, you know, as Bakugo's just blowing off explosions trying to catch him, he feels a hand on his shoulder. Deku smiles and says, You ever felt 1,000,000 watts? And you ever felt how Kaminari feels when he uses 1,000,000 watts? Well, you're about to. And then he lights. And I'm talking lights. Bakugo's shoulder up. Bakugo's shoulder is literally dislocated. The bone he can't feel. You know, he faints. He's done. He's out. Deku's panting. He's exerted so much energy. Then he begins, you know, he begins to sigh heavily, saying, I won. Then, um, comes the reward ceremony. All Might tells, what happened good and wrong. He tells Bakugo that he has too much anger. He needs to let it loose somehow, and that's not assaulting his fellow classmates. He tells Todoroki that he needs to use his fire side. He was not able to win whatsoever because Deku wasn't in that match to, help him and encourage him to use his fire side to let loose, to tell him that it's his quirk, not his dad's. So he's still using his ice. But Deku, most of all Might asks, why didn't he use the suit? Why didn't he use the, symbiote? And Deku tells him, well, it's weak against fire. Bakugo hears this and says, huh, so your little friend is afraid of my flames, huh? That's when Noah pops out of Deku's side and says, huh, you little punk, you wish. And that's the end of the sports festival. Thanks, guys. Be sure to check out my friends, be sure to check out my friends What If, and I'll be catching you next time. Toodaloos!